You're listening to Investify, preaching financial independence and assisting investors to achieve a more flexible and free lifestyle through smart financial planning and real estate investing. If leaving the corporate world and jumping into this thriving industry is what you desire, tune in and listen to stories of like-minded individuals who made the leap to financial independence. Equip yourself with the right tips and tricks to start your real estate journey, making active or passive ventures that are highly profitable and rewarding.
What's going on, everybody? You are listening to Investify. My name is Craig Curlop, aka the Fi Guy, and I'm here with my co-host, Miss Allie Garced. What up, Allie?
What's up, Craig? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really, really good. Caffeinated,
That
ready to
is
go.
caffeinated. It was funny. I got to be on you and Shelby's podcast yesterday, which
Yes.
was kind of fun, and I got to see the flip
Kind of.
side of what it's like to be kind of fun. Yeah, we're not gonna
Kind of
we're
fun.
not gonna say lots of fun. No, it was actually a really good time. I love talking about the being a real estate agent and like my beginning stories and all that. I don't talk about that enough. And but it was really cool
Yeah.
just to kind of be on the flip side of like being with you instead of just being being a co-host with you, actually being interviewed by you. And yeah, that was really cool. So I
I
was
loved
excited for
it.
that.
Yeah. I loved
Yeah.
hearing your story. Yeah, of like growing the team, just you beginning because the podcast that we host on the other side is just agent stuff, so not investing. So that was super cool hearing your story.
Yeah, no, it was tons of fun. Tons of fun kind of getting on it. And yeah, but we've got an even cooler story. Honestly, my story I feel like is nothing like Diego's really, but there's like a small iota that reminds me of it where like he was a realtor while working a W-2 job and then ended up quitting because his real estate being a realtor was being successful. That's like the only part that's the same. Otherwise, Diego's story just blows mine out of the water. And I'm excited. And Diego's a really good friend of mine. He's a super authentic, genuine dude. Like I just want to give this dude a hug every time I see him. Like such
Same.
a good dude.
I do.
And so
And I buy
yeah.
him a Moscow
I
Mule too. I'm like, Diego.
Is that like the Peruvian drink of choice, a Moscow Mule?
No, we just both happen to love it. I think it's like our favorite drink. So every time we see each other, we're just like, all right, who's buying the first round? No, but I agree. Diego is one of the most genuine people. Like this was a great episode having both you and Diego. Honestly, the two most genuine people in the real estate space that I know of, and it was so cool. Every time I hear Diego's story, I get goosebumps. You guys are gonna love this episode, and if you like it, rate, review, give us some comments or wherever you're listening to. We'd love to hear it. This is going to be a great one.
Yeah, absolutely. And without further ado, let's bring on Mr. Diego Corzo. This episode of Investify was brought to you by the FI team, a team of investor-friendly agents that service all 50 states. If you are looking to house hack, to invest, grow your portfolio, and want a true investor-friendly agent on your side, go to thefiteam.com and click Get Started, and we can't wait to have a good conversation with you. Diego Corzo, welcome to the show, my friend. How you doing today, brother?
Doing well, doing well. Craig, thank you very much for having me here. And Ali, nice to see you.
Nice to see you as always, Diego.
Yeah, I
Yes,
feel like
yes.
this has been a long time coming, man.
Yeah.
We've been
Yes.
friends now for a long time, actually. Like, I feel like you're one of my like oldest friends in this space, and so
Yes.
it's truly a pleasure to finally get to interview here on the show and hear a little bit about your story, man. So why don't you kind of
Yeah.
take us back to the beginning of when you first heard about financial independence and what kind of gave you that switch from typical American dream to living your actual dream.
Yes. Yes. And but before we do this, dude, Craig, I have to give you a shout out because like you said, we've been friends for years. And the way that you called me out once back when we were at a GoBundance event. And thanks to you
Yeah.
calling me out, I changed the whole way that how I do business as a realtor with my team and everything. So I have to give you a huge shout out for that.
That's amazing,
Yes.
man. I'm so glad that I could
Yeah.
that I helped, man. Yeah, dude, we shared that room there
Yes.
in that wasn't Steamboat, that was Tahoe, I think. But
Yes. Yes. And we can share that story later. But
Yeah, yeah, dude, that's amazing. Absolutely, man. Yeah, let's get it from the beginning.
Yes. So financial independence for me, it all started when I got introduced to the Rich Dad Poor Dad book. My friend Pascal, who I know that both of you guys probably have met, if not correct for sure. He threw me this book when I was in college. I was 20 years old, and that book didn't teach me anything like on things to do, but it changed my mindset. And it taught me that there's two ways for people to make money. You can trade your time for money, or you can make your money work for you. So then, in me trying to learn about financial independence and all of that stuff, I realized that managing money is one of those important things. And that for you to achieve financial independence, you do not need millions and millions of dollars in the bank. You just need to have your passive income covering your active income. And when I realized that that was it, then I had an epiphany that I didn't need to work until I was 65 years old, which is a little bit different coming from an immigrant background, because I'm from Peru, came here when I was 9. And a lot of it was like, Diego, you go to school, you get good grades, we're here for the American dream. And for me, back in the day, the American dream was to get good grades, get a degree, and then go work in corporate America, build a career, and then retire at 65 with a really good 401k and everything, right? But in having these conversations, I realized that I was here more to build a bigger life, not a bigger lifestyle, as Adam Carroll says.
Can you dive more into what you mean by that?
Yeah. So I went to my first personal development event while I was in college, and he Adam Carroll became my first mentor, and he said a couple of things that for me definitely, like, I still remember them, and they had a huge impact. Number one was the build a bigger life, not a bigger lifestyle. At the end of the day, it all goes into building the life of your dreams based on experiences, not things. Because if you are wanting the things and the lifestyle, he said, you can have everything that you want, not just focus on, like, just know that not right now. And I was like in my 20s, right? Like low 20s. So I knew that having that mindset of delayed gratification was going to help me a lot. He also mentioned like, hey, in the beginning, or maybe ever, but in the beginning, you do not need to have a new car. He said the new car payments. He said the new car smell wears off, the car payments don't. And so it's all
Mm,
about like it's all about the understanding, right? That it's not just the things, because if you're doing it for the things, you're always going to have to work. But the philosophy was, how can you get buy assets that will then give you money to pay for your lifestyle, to pay for those experiences? And that is how my perspective changed on a lot of things. And thankfully, I was introduced to that philosophy when I was 20, 21 years old. And then what I had to do, though, was I needed to be disciplined enough to stick to that mindset, even though in the beginning, a lot of my friends, when I was working in corporate America, didn't think that way. So I had to change my circle. I had to just continue to surround myself with other people. And it went from there.
So you read the book and it taught you to change your mindset, right? So your mindset is changing, your whole environment is changing because you need to surround yourself with other people that are also of this similar mindset. How did you get to learn the how to? Like, because the Rich Dad Poor Dad, series, it is a lot of mindset theoretical instead of the how to. So talk us through like your first investment, and how did you learn how to do it, or did you just step right in? Like, take it away from there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So with the first investment, right? Like, in looking at my expenses when I moved to college, I mean, when I graduated college to moving to Austin, Texas to work as a software developer, um, I realized that my living expenses were going to be the highest thing, like the highest expense, right? If you look at your expenses, maybe the rent or your mortgage, as an example, might be the biggest expense. Well, I asked myself at that time, how can I eliminate it? And that is when I began to listen to podcasts. I found out about BP on Bigger Pockets. And this is back in 2013. So right when the podcast was starting and everything. So then that's when I got introduced to house hacking. And when I moved to Austin, though, I rented a room that I found on Craigslist for $500. So then I looked at him like, man, we're covering his mortgage. That is smart. Then turns out that was called house hacking. So I was like, I'm going to buy my first house hack. Right. But prior to that, I didn't have any money, no knowledge on it. And because I'm a DACA recipient, I'm a dreamer. Like I couldn't work or drive until I was 22. At 23, I'm trying to apply to all these loans, and these lenders have no idea what it means to have this type of immigration document. So I heard a lot of no's, but then I found one that said yes. And I was able to buy a house putting 5% down. And I rented out 3 rooms for $550. My mortgage was $1350. So I was able to live for free, living in a master, and the extra income paid for my living expense, paid for my car. Sorry, and it went from there. Yes.
Allie, you know what this sounds a little bit like?
This sounds like the
For real
deal.
Yes.
All right, Diego, this is basically the for real deal. It's the first deal that makes you a for real investor. And it sounds like it was a house hack. And so we want to kind of dive deep into this first one, even if it was back in 2013, 2014. So, it sounds like it was in Austin. It was a single family home, but tell us what was the price? What was that monthly payment? All that good stuff. Let's dive in deep.
Yes. So I found the home. By this time, I had already become a realtor part time. So I found it on the MLS. It was for 170. I go to see it during my lunch hour. I see it, and it was renovated already. And I'm the kind of person, look, I am not handy. I'm more cash flow. I want to make money from the first month. I don't care about value add or anything, because I know that if I can make more money actively, I'm okay with just making money from day number one. So I found this deal and put 5% down. My rate, I mean, if we want to get to the nitty gritty, was like 4.25 or something. Um, and my down payment was a total overall, I think out of pocket was around 10,000. I used part of my commission to cover some of the closing costs. Um, and in me buying that property, again, my mortgage payment was 1350, and the rent payment came in at 1650, 1,849 square feet, um, and 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. I know we have the king house hacker here on the call with Craig over here, who wrote the book and everything. So now one thing here though is that there's no basements or anything like that in Texas. So the bedrooms, what you see is what you get. And what was cool though is that, of course, I couldn't sign a lease until I became the owner of the house. But that doesn't mean that I cannot market the property. So I took the pictures that were on the MLS and I started to put it on Craigslist. And I was like, guys, because I was the realtor, I could show the home at any time. So I would set up appointments with potential tenants to see it. And then I told them, hey guys, you can move in on Saturday. I close on a Friday. Saturday, everybody comes in, they sign the lease, and I have 2 tenants moving from day one. So it was really cool.
Wow.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yes.
You want to know something kind of funny, like what I did, and I don't even know if this is legal or not. So don't do it without looking it up.
Hey, dude,
But like,
I'm illegal in this country, so it's okay, right?
you're,
So
yeah,
it's all right.
the
I'm
walking
undocumented.
illegal. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I did the same exact thing where I listed it before, and I actually would even have tenants sign the lease before I closed, but I just wouldn't sign it until I closed. And so technically, it wasn't like a mutually signed document. And so, but then it was in my power, and like when they feel like they've signed a lease, then they sign the lease, right? And so, yeah, I don't know. Again, look up to see if that's legal, and or maybe it's a gray area, but I never got in trouble for it.
I mean, at the end of the day, if it's not executed, right? I mean, I'm a realtor, so like I know, like, hey, just because I get the offer and your client sign, it's not until my client sign that then becomes executed, technically, right? So, so that deal then, had that deal gave me the beginnings, like it allowed me to live for free, and allowed me to live for free and have my car payment paid for. Now, because of me being a DACA recipient, I couldn't qualify for student loans or financial aid or anything for college. I had to pay for it all on my own. So I didn't have student debt and I didn't have any credit card debt or anything like that. So literally, if I'm 24 years old, imagine 24, living for free, car payment, my only expenses really were food, other than that, and like travel, I would say. Food, and well, like I guess cell phone and whatever, right? Other expenses. But once I covered that through the first property, then that allowed me to also quit my corporate America job, because it allowed me to save more money to continue investing, and then I replicated that process. Now, one thing that I like to say here is that that property is now worth around 350, 360. At the hype of the Austin market, it was probably worth 450 about 2 years ago. Now it's worth 350, which is okay. But here's one thing that I did. I was able to put a line of credit, right? A line of credit on that property a year and a half ago. And that equity, because now that property was worth 350, let's say, allowed me to buy my dream condo in Puerto Rico this past May. So that I used the equity from the line of credit to buy that condo. So literally, the $10,000 that I used to buy my first property, my first house hack, 9 years later, bought my dream condo.
So you mentioned that you got a lot of no's. You got a lot of no's from lenders originally to even buy the house. Um, do you, without having to like name any specific names, but who was that lender, or like what type of lender was it that where you finally were able to get a loan on it? And like I know on your website diegocorzo.com, for anybody that wants to view it, you also share lenders like that for other DACA recipients. So how did you end up finding that niche that to help others?
Yeah, so it definitely took a while. And it wasn't until I would say that the lenders understood what DACA meant, because a lot of lenders would say, no, I cannot do it if you don't have a green card or if you're not a citizen. And I was like, well, I'm allowed to be here. I have I have a social security, work permit, driver's license. But it was more, the lenders, I would say, were too, like, they didn't want to do the work to do the research to see if they could do it. It wasn't until one other one that he saw that I had potential as a realtor, I would say, that was like, holy crap, if I can help him do this, maybe he can give me more deals in the future. And that's what I did. He's now my preferred lender here in Austin, Texas, for example. And he's helped me as a house hacker with my investments. He's also helped dozens of other house hackers too in Austin, Texas. So but it was like that lender just went a little bit above and beyond to see if I could really qualify. The documentation that documents everything.
Awesome, man. No, I think having people in your network is huge, and the fact that you did the work for probably thousands of other people, I think is amazing, man. Um, I want to ask though, right? Like, so you and your family moved here to live this American dream, and then you just did a total 180, right? And you mentioned too, like your friends weren't doing this. Obviously your family wasn't doing it. So, what did they all think about this?
So keep in mind that yes, we moved here, right, to accomplish the American dream. And I'm the oldest brother. I'm the oldest of all the grandchildren. So I had a little bit of that, of the pressure, a little bit of me being the first one that graduated high school here in the United States, first one graduated college. Um, and that definitely put a little bit more of like responsibility in me in succeeding in basically achieving and creating a path for them as well. Now when that happened is I'm doing everything, I guess, that also society tells you. And the thing that us coming from another country, what we idealize as the American dream. And there is pride too, sometimes in your parents saying, oh, my son went to college and he graduated with 2 degrees and now he's working for a big corporation, climbing the corporate ladder and all of that stuff. Like parents take pride in that. I was just talking to some people over the weekend on that. Some cultures take pride in like, hey, they want you to be an engineer or a doctor and all this other stuff. Well, for me, it was more imagine like I get 2 degrees, a degree in IT, MIS. I get hired, General Motors, work can have an amazing trajectory. And then I tell my parents, hey, I'm quitting and I'm going to go sell houses. And they're like, what the heck? Right. But by this time, though, number one, I've always had the support of my parents. And number two, I surrounded myself with mentors. They became my mentors from Go Abundance. And they were the ones that set the way. And they were the ones that basically explained to me, well, like they gave me a shortcut to success. And I highly believe a lot of people say there's no shortcuts to success, but that's a lie. If you surround yourself with the right coach or the right mentor, that what may have taken them 20 years to do or 10, you can do it in 5. And that's what happened with me, right? So but having those tough conversations with me, for example, telling them, hey, I'm back then GM was a Fortune 5 company, and telling my family too in Peru, like my grandma, hey, I'm gonna quit. And they're like, but why? Like you have such a good future ahead of you, working like everything. And but I just had to tell them, look, number one, I can always go back. Number two, I'm at a salary position that, yes, I can continue to make more money in the future, but I'm still, no matter how many hours I work, I I'm still making the same. And I told my parents too, I was like, look, you guys have ingrained in me the power of hard work and work ethic. And I know that if I can put that into something like sales, and also I got super fortunate being in Austin, Texas. I had no idea that it was going to be one of the hottest markets in the whole United States for a while too. Like going into real estate, I knew that I had my own responsibility to put in the work ethic that I wanted. And so I there's no ceiling to make money as a realtor, right? So once you know how to get clients, help families, how to build a pipeline, now it's up to you how much you want to work or delegate and so forth. But it was having those tough conversations. And now this is me, right? Now my brother, who's 5 years younger than he so I graduated college. He had the opportunity to go to volunteer at a Go Abundance event where you volunteer. This is back in 2014. Um, and he had the choice to work for free for a whole week for 12 millionaires, basically like making sure that their dinner was served, anything that they needed. But it was the same weekend. It was the same week as his finals, his first semester of college. And so when I tell my brother, hey, I don't know if I can get you another weekend like this to go and volunteer and work for free and surround yourself with 12 or 15 millionaires, but college will always be there. That was a tough decision because then the next call that I got was my mom saying, what are you telling Gonzalo? He says he's not going to go to take his finals. And but it goes to show that at the end of the day, you don't need to go to college if you pick the right path and the right opportunity, especially living in this country. So I got 2 degrees. I'm doing well, transitioning into real estate. My brother dropped out of college. Now he's doing well, working in real estate. He has his own team. He's done over 1,100 wholesale deals since he started 9 years ago. And yeah, at the end of the day, but again, it's having those levels of conversations. And one thing is that maybe, and I got fortunate that our parents supported my brother and I, but I know for other people, and my recommendation would be to show them later. They will not understand you in the beginning. They will not understand you sometimes as you're going through the process as to why you're doing that. It's like, Diego, why a lot of my friends will tell me too, Diego, why are you living with roommates when we're making so much money? Like, you don't need to live with roommates. You don't need, like, why do you still have a used car? If you're working for General Motors, you can get a brand new car. It's like, well, because my path is different. And so what I had to learn was, and also what other people have shared with me too, is that don't just tell them, because sometimes they're not going to understand, but show them later. And once you show them, that's when they're like, oh my gosh, it was totally worth it. Good thing that maybe I didn't support you. I'm sorry, but now I see the results.
Yeah, I want to like. It takes a certain someone, right, to be able to quit a W-2 job and go off on your own. And I just want to say that everyone has a worth, right? And it's pretty easy to determine what your worth is. You just look at your last year's tax returns, and or what you're getting paid at your W-2 job. And the way companies work, right, is that they need to pay you less than what you're worth in order for them to make money. And so it's inherent that that's the case. Now, it's going to take a lot of discipline and a lot of structure of your day to quit a W-2 job and perseverance to get through to actually make a lot more than at a W-2. But anyone listening to this podcast or anyone in our community, I can almost guarantee that if you're taking time aside to listen to self-development stuff or read self-development books, you are worth more than whatever your employer is paying you. Because unless you're like the CEO of BlackRock or something crazy, like you're able to make an insane amount of money just on your own, just as a realtor, right? Or something that doesn't even need a college degree. And so I think a lot of people get scared of making that jump, but I just want to kind of put numbers to it where it's like, yeah, you're getting paid less than what you're worth. Otherwise, your company would fire you. So,
Yes, yes. And a lot of people, there's two things that I want to say on that, is that there is a calculated risk when it comes to quitting your job. I mean, there is a risk, but the question is, how calculated is it? Right? When I quit my job, I was already closing one house every 45 days part time. So I knew that, okay, if I'm closing one house every 45 days or 60 days part time, and I'm living for free, and my car payment's getting paid by other people, I'm like, okay, I know that if I quit, I can potentially close one house a month, and then it went from there, right? But it was building that pipeline, and number one, trusting in myself, and number two, I remember that, for example, when I was working in General Motors, the money that they matched was gonna get vested in 3 years, and I remember talking to some friends, and I was like, dude, but the money's there. Like, by the time that I quit in 3 years, because I knew that I was gonna quit to go into real estate. I just didn't know when. And I was like, yeah, but when I quit, my 401k is gonna be like $50,000. Like, that is a great nest egg to just let that compound or whatever. And he's like, well, Diego, are you worth more than a 401k? And that hit me. I was like, damn. No, I am worth more than a 401k. And then he's like, and what is the opportunity cost? You're talking about 50,000. Let's break it down. How many homes do you need to sell to get that 50,000 and then put it back if you really wanted to? And so I was like, crap, I never heard about it. I never saw it this way. And but yeah, but at the end of the day, is having those conversations and people making you think. So it's like sometimes they give you like the golden handcuffs, and thankfully I was making 60k. I know some friends that are making 200, 250 in their corporate job, and those are even more golden handcuffs, right? So it has to be a choice. There's always a risk, but there's opportunity cost to that, and you can always go back, because you think like, oh my gosh, no, I bet you can always go back because you are so replaceable. It's crazy. In corporate America, you quit, you might think that you're the best one. Oh, nobody can do it like me. Dude, the next day, somebody else is working your projects.
Yeah.
totally, totally. One thing I want to say too is that, that whole thing of like, you can always go back. It would take a bit of a hit to someone's ego to go back, right? And that and I always say like ego or pride is the most expensive thing that any characteristic of anyone should have. And so as long as you're able to swallow your pride, go to your boss and say, "Hey, I messed up." But I think showing that vulnerability might even be like, okay, like who's not going to give someone a second chance that openly admits they messed up, but they shouldn't have done that, as long as you can just swallow your pride. So, yeah, I love that, man. I love that kind of like fail safe that you had.
We hope this episode is inspiring you to take action.
If you're thinking about becoming a real estate agent or an agent who wants to join an investor-friendly team, just hit me up on Instagram at the Fi Guy, because we are growing our team in Denver, Seattle, San Diego, and Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, but also adding to our network in all 50 states. And if you didn't already know this, the Fi team provides a super supportive environment with one-on-one coaching, accountability, and ongoing training to help develop kick-ass, rock star, investor-friendly real estate agents. So hit me up on Instagram at the Fi Guy, shoot me a DM, and we'll set up a time to chat. Can't wait to chat with you.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I mean, ego, swallowing your pride is just a decision that is like there's no monetary, there's nothing, it's just you. So you just have to work on you and be like, okay, why do I have this ego? Right? If I know that it's gonna help me for my future, and nobody's gonna think any less of you. And if they do, like, dude, it doesn't really matter. People think that they care, that other people care so much about them. Like I had this thing, like I bet you, because you think like, oh my gosh, people are always looking at me or whatever, right? But I bet you that if you go to a grocery store and you scream for 2 seconds, right, for 2 seconds, they will look at you, be like, huh, and they will continue about their day. And you just literally broke their pattern. You did everything, but they're not gonna care. Nobody cares. Trust me.
Yeah. Yeah. And even you don't even have to go back to that same boss either. You could also just go to a competitor, usually get a pay increase. Worst case scenario, chances are you're going to get a pay increase by going to a competitor. I mean, that's what people do like in the corporate world, leave every 4 or 5 years and just get a bigger pay increase as opposed to just the regular annual one if they stay in the same company. I want to take this to we have your first deal. How did the pattern of real estate investing continue? Like, from there, what does your portfolio look like now?
Yeah. So my portfolio, I own around 62 doors, um, fif- 15 Airbnbs in the Smoky Mountains. I'm part owner of a 16 unit in Augusta, Georgia. I have 10 doors with some business partners here in Austin, quadplex in McAllen, um, 3 properties. But here's the key thing, only 3 properties are in my name, like that I own 100%. The other ones have come by creating partnerships in leveraging what I call other people's superpowers. They leverage my superpower at that time, and I leverage theirs at that time. And so it may have been in the beginning, I was boots on the ground for my buddy Pascal because he saw how much money I was making from like my first house hack. So we started buying house hacks. He was the money guy, even though he lived in Colorado. And I was the boots on the ground. I was a realtor. I was putting the furniture, the finding the tenants, all of that stuff. Then later, once we sold that, I got that money and I began to invest in Jacksonville, buying homes from my brother. And then later I went from that to then buying new builds here in Texas, just because I saw that the market had appreciated over there, put my money to work here in properties that didn't need much work, because I am not handy and I do not want to deal with that. So it just was a personal choice. But here's 4 things that I say that I always mention when selecting a partner with their superpowers. You should either be the one with, like, there should be time, somebody that can spend more time, money, knowledge of the market, and your network. So if you bring with a lot of money and somebody else has a lot of money, they're going to need to find either boots on the ground or leverage or something, or like somebody needs to learn about the market, right? So I always say that if you partner up with somebody that has one or those 2 qualities and you complement each other, then it's great.
And how do you kind of figure out which one you've got or which one someone else has? Like, how do you determine? I mean, I guess if someone's got money, it's pretty easy. But like,
Yeah. So the one thing is, like, for example, time is one of those things that, okay, it depends on what stage you're in your life, right? If you're like, hey, like, because you might have somebody, maybe you have a job and you're like, maybe if I partner up with this person, I can quit my job, he funds all of the deals, I'll be the GC or the property man, like the proper project manager, property manager, whatever. But you want to make sure that you can give enough time into that business. Maybe you can be the one that has the most knowledge, right? In the beginning, as I mentioned earlier, I was a boots on the ground for Pascal. Later, because I didn't have any money, later my Airbnb portfolio, as an example, My business partner, he was the one with the market knowledge, the expertise, the resources, and the time, because he began to manage that portfolio. And I became the money guy, where he can be like, hey, Diego, I saw this deal. I'll be like, cool, I'll give you the 20% for those deals. So then we would buy and buy and buy and buy. So know that that unfair advantage will change as time goes on.
Yeah. No, I love that, man. I think partnerships are extremely powerful. Admittedly, that's something that I've kind of not steered away from. I just like was always scared of partnerships, right? I always just wanted the whole thing, didn't want to deal with it. And I still haven't ventured into it really. I mean, I've got partners on a couple different deals, but they're just so small, it almost doesn't even matter. But yeah, I think, if your goal is to scale and scale quick, I mean, people, I was just thinking about this today is like people are oftentimes your best investment. Like I'll give one example is for example, like in the real estate business, I think you all could probably agree is like a transaction coordinator, right? Like I pay my first year in real estate, I was fortunate and did like 100 or something deals, right? And before that, I didn't have a transaction coordinator. I was able to do maybe a max of 2 deals a month. So that's 24 deals. So I went from 24 to 100 deals. That's like $750,000 of additional revenue in our market because I paid a transaction coordinator $40,000 a year, right? Like if you think about that investment in a person, that's like almost a 20%, a 20, sorry, not 20%, 20 times ROI in like a high quality person. And so I think that that can relate to a partnership and an investment, or if you've got a business like but it's got to be like it's just like you said, it's a calculated risk hiring somebody because they could also cost you a lot of money. So
Yes. Yes, exactly. Exactly. And hiring the right person can definitely help you, but it's all about creating that, like, focusing in delegating to others things that you can go out there and perform at a better rate, so that you can give to them the tasks that are $10 an hour, 15 or $20 an hour. If you know that you can go out there and get clients or work in your business making $200 to $300 an hour, for example, 500 an hour.
have you had a partnership? I know that you partner a lot that didn't work out,
Yes.
and how did that happen, and what happened there?
Yeah. So on the real estate side, it was because we didn't have the numbers written, like we didn't put everything in writing, and we should have done that. This was one of my first couple of properties where I told them, hey, if you give me the money, we're going 33, 33, 33. But I couldn't qualify for the loan at that time because of my DACA documents. So I basically gave them the money later. And because there was a discrepancy on like, to keep it easier on cash flow, we made it so that all the cash flow was the same, but some partners put just a little bit more money than somebody else. And when we sold it, the one partner that had put less expected everybody to be the same. And it was like, well, just because we were saying that cash flow, it was just to make it easier, doesn't mean that that happened. And but he said, well, Diego, the property was in my name, in my credit, and we was to help you, and you didn't put any of your credit on it. I was like, yeah, but I showed you guys how to do it. But in order to save the relationship, I just let that go. At the end of the day, it was $1,800. Gave him the money, and that's it, right? But I wish I put that in writing so that we didn't have to deal with that.
Mhm. I think that's a huge thing is like make sure all you got contracts, get a lawyers to find a template from somebody and then get a lawyer to review it. It'll be a few $100, but it's like worth it.
Yeah, you can go to Rocket Lawyer, create an operating agreement, and just select, like, when do you want to sell the properties, at what point, all of that stuff.
Looking in the future, what do you on the investing side or even the agent side, realtor side, what are you most excited about? What's next for you?
Yes, yes. So I am getting to a point in my life that, with the resources that I've been able to get, with the connections, with some people that are in my mastermind group and stuff like that, I might have an opportunity to raise capital to
Mm.
invest, and raising capital on a debt fund style, so that I can make that money work with the connections that I have with the right operators and all of that. And yeah, so that's something that I'm excited about, because I don't know yet what I'm gonna do, but I have different partners, not partners, but different people that I can invest with. But again, I would need more capital. And if I
Mhm.
can create a debt fund, then I can invest into those deals. My brother is raising like 700,000 and to do some flips and stuff. And I was like, he asked me, and I'm like, well, maybe I can be the guy that raises that 700 for him and so
Mm.
forth. So yeah.
Yeah, nice. Well, keep me in mind because I am interested.
Yes, yes. So I'm working on that, and that might be my next transition, right? Because as capital is so expensive right now, there's a need for people to get the right type of capital, and people to still make the right investment opportunities and everything.
Okay, Diego. So I got a question for you. You've mentioned a lot of different businesses here, right? You've got your realtor business. You mentioned your mastermind. You're also investing in real estate. You got partnerships all over the place. Like, how the heck do you keep your hat on your head and your shoes on your feet? Like, how do you keep it all straight? And are you still doing all these things?
Yeah. So thankfully, I added a key member into my team, Ward Mahoney. He's like my Mad King. Some people in GoBundance would say he's my COO, my chief of staff. And having him as part of my team has been incredible because he gets to be basically my point of contact with the different businesses that I have, except for the realtor business. And so he's involved in a lot of that stuff and he does a lot of work on those. He keeps me in check. We have different conversations. We have a level 10 meeting for those that know about EOS, the book Traction. And so having that open line of communication and leveraging that part, that aspect has helped me a lot.
So you've got the COO of your life, basically, and or not your life, but I guess of your businesses. And then who's running the realtor business? Is that still you?
So I'm still working. So my team still consists of the eight agents and my business partner and myself. But and then we have three full-time admins. But at the end of the day, that one is being run just by my business partner and I. Ward is not involved on that one. Yeah, because that one is more on the sales side.
Right. So what I'm hearing here, right, is that you are able to partner with lots of different people and lots of different businesses. And it seems that in most cases, they're actually the people in the business and you're kind of the like almost like the visionary, right? And so that's how you're able to actually have so many businesses while not spending too much time in either one.
Exactly, exactly. And setting the right expectations with the partners, right? Like in one of them that I'm not part of anymore, I was the CFO and setting the right calls, the right teams, the right information for that one. I wasn't in the nitty-gritty. I focus more in my superpower and what if for anybody that has read the book The Big Leap, it's called your zone of genius, right? So I focus in my zone of genius, whatever that might be within that company too, and go from there.
I love it, man. I love it. Ali, is there anything else you want to add before we maybe head into the final part of the show?
Yeah, actually, I want to dig a little bit deeper into this new condo in Puerto Rico. So,
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
congrats.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
congrats. You purchased it in May. And so, like, the numbers there, I want to dig into that. And how often are you there? How often are you going to visit it?
Yes. So, all right. So the dream condo, it came out so spontaneous, like it was so serendipitous. Let's call it that. Um, I'll share the story because I was like, how it happened was crazy. So I was doing an event in Puerto Rico for like 25 investors with the mastermind that I have. And one of the speakers was a realtor from Puerto Rico. And we're all out on a boat and everything, hanging out. And jokingly, somebody says, "Oh, I want to be part of her team here." And I say, "Oh, are you going to move to PR?" And she says, "No, I'm not. But how about you?" And I tell him, "Well, I wouldn't move here yet or anything, but I will buy a condo. I would buy something." So her as the realtor, she was like, "Well, Diego, what are you looking for?" And I was like, "Well, I have a big list, uh, but I don't know if I'll find it." She's like, "What is it?" So I was like, "Okay, it needs to be in this part of town. It needs to be in Isla Verde because it's cheaper than the tourist. It needs to be 2 bedrooms, ocean front, with the pool being an attraction, not just like there. So it ended up that this condo has a pool in the 16th floor overlooking like everything. I told her it needs to be renovated because I don't know anybody there. It needs to have a parking spot. It needs to be under 500,000 and so many different things. And then one in a jokingly manner, I said, and it needs to be close to this coffee shop brand because I love this chain. And she was like, what if I have it? I was like, no, that'll be crazy. So she shows me the view. She tells me everything about it. And I was like, can we see it on Monday? And she says, yes. We go and see it right after the event. I submit an offer and I bought it. So like right there, 45 days later or something, we're closing on it. And yeah, it was awesome. But I wasn't expecting it. But because I've been to Puerto Rico so many times, staying at different Airbnbs and stuff. I knew what I wanted, and when I saw it, I was like, "This is it." And so yeah, so now I'm there. I bought it for 450. I put 20% down because I ran into some issues of being able to just put 10. But I was like, I'm gonna buy it no matter what, and bought it with the equity of that one house, and then now I'm there once a month. And but I want to spend more time there. I want to do some one-on-ones too. I've done one so far. So somebody flies to Puerto Rico for 2 days. They can stay in the condo if they want, or they can stay at a hotel. That's fine. But then we mastermind for 2 days and we see the ocean view, and it's awesome.
That's so cool.
That's amazing. And do people pay for that, or is that just like you pick somebody and you host them?
No, so somebody would pay for that. Yeah, because once they land, I pay for everything else. I pay for their food. They stay in my condo. We go out and we explore Puerto Rico, but then we're masterminding, strategizing, figure out their goals. I have several like exercises. Yeah, we can go salsa dancing, and there's so many things.
Nice. How much is that?
That is 3,500.
Nice. Yeah, Puerto Rico is beautiful. I would say, I mean, so I'm half Puerto Rican and half Peruvian.
Oh, cool! I did not know that.
Yeah, so I really feel like Puerto Rico is just the Caribbean version of Hawaii. I might get some heat for that, but I really feel like the views are the same, but the price is maybe a third, maybe half.
Yeah, I did not know you were half Puerto Rican. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, and one of the reasons, really quick, why I love PR was because since I can't leave the country as a DACA recipient, I went to Puerto Rico because it's a territory of the states and is the closest, I would say, like Latino culture wise. That I went there in 2021, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been needing my whole life, and I've been back 20 times now, and like go there now every month, and yeah, it's been awesome. It's been awesome.
It's awesome, dude. I think it's so cool hearing your story, like basically 10 years from when you started, because a lot of people who listen to this are probably in their first or second year, and it's kind of hard to see the future. But if you just look at Diego's story, like this is your future. It's, your property has appreciated a certain amount. You're able to leverage that equity to buy your dream home. And Diego, I don't know if you can tell by his voice if you're not watching, but Diego is not old. How old are you, Diego? Like 30, 33?
I'm 33, 33.
33.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, like Diego is living this life of his dreams at an insanely young age. Are you thinking about like kids and family or anything like that? Or what are you thinking in that regard?
In the future, yes. Yes, I do want to get married, have two kids, stuff like that. But right now that's not right now I'm in the process of finding my partner. Let's say I'm single right now. So it's good. Yes. But I do wanna find a family. I do want to find my partner and build a family and all that stuff. 100%.
All right. Well, if you're a lady and listening to this, then Diego, hit up Diego. Yeah.
You're hilarious. You're
You never
hilarious.
know. Hey, we're gonna matchmake you here on this show too. Um, all right, man. Well, on that note, let's head into the final part of our show, which we call our final four. But before we get there, any parting words of wisdom for the audience?
For the audience, trust the process and ask yourself, what are you doing right now to get into the right rooms or the right opportunities? That some people will call it luck. but you are doing the work that needs to make it happen.
I love that so much. Yeah, exactly right. There's no such thing as luck. It's just opportunity and preparation, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So now it is time for the final
Final
The final
four.
four.
Allie, why don't you kick us off?
All right. I know that you're a reader, Diego. So what book are you reading right now?
Ooh, the book that I am reading right now. So I recently finished Buy Your Time Back.
Mm,
I'm sorry, Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. Probably one of the best books that I freaking read. It is like amazing, amazing, amazing. I need to read it again.
nice.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that one. I'll have to add to the list. Diego, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
The best piece of advice came from David Osborne, who said you should either work for knowledge or for equity. Don't work for money.
Love that.
Huh. Yeah, I like that. And what's your why? Why are you doing all this?
Yes, my why is to show my parents that the sacrifice that they did into coming to the United States, learning a new, like, it's crazy. Okay, so I'll share this. Like, to show them that it was worth it. At age 32, my parents were like 24 years ago. At the age that I have now, my parents were deciding to leave their home country, to learn a new language, to start from zero, to see if they can have a better opportunity to give their family. I was 9 years old and my brother was three. And having those decisions, like, that is tough, right? Like, be like, hey, we cannot make it in this country anymore, in our home country. We need to look for another opportunity, and basically leave their parents, leave their whole family to start again. And then this year I was with them in Puerto Rico a couple of months ago, buying my dream condo at the same age that they were having that, right? And for me, it's like, holy crap, like, it was worth it. Like, the whole sacrifice and everything, the excitement that I got to see them and everything was awesome. And yeah, like, at the end of the day, is to show them that their sacrifice was worth it.
I love that so much. Yeah, I resonate with that. Just like the progressing the family tree. So I'm excited to see where your kids end up going, like even further. That's going to be exciting.
Yeah. What do your parents think now? Right? I know they were like hesitant to hear what you were doing, but now that you
No, my parents, they're super proud of my brother and I. They love everything that we're doing. They're super supportive. We have a really close relationship, so we talk almost every day. Even though I'm in Austin and they're in Florida, and but yeah, they're my number one fans from that perspective, and to the point that so a couple of 2 months ago, to today, like 3 months ago in June, um I was invited to the White House, and I could take one guest, and I decided to take my mom. And it was amazing to be there, be invited to the White House. We met the president and everything, and it was just an incredible experience to do that and to show my mom, like, holy crap, we went from coming to the States with zero money, like starting from zero, to then now being able to get invited to the White House. That's awesome. So yeah, they are very happy about our success.
love it, dude. All right, man. Last question. If you were going to compete in the Olympics, what would it be for?
Is that like, for a question? So is that a skill that I would have to learn, or a skill that I would like, that I enjoy right now?
It's up for your interpretation.
Yes. If I was an amazing soccer player, I would do soccer. If it was more team, if it was something on my own, I will do some kind of running. I love running, but I am not in a position to beat like those guys that are running a marathon in under 3 hours or something. But I will compete.
Dude, yeah. Dude, oh, the fact that you like running.
Dude,
Can't do it anymore.
I
I did
don't.
that. The last time I ran was the Ironman race, and then I'm like, nope, I'm never running again. Not, I'll run for a purpose. Like I play basketball and I run, but not just running to run. Yeah.
Running for me just gives me time to think. And it's where I have some of my ideas. It gives me time to process. I listen to salsa music. So like it's my me time, my fun time, but also just think.
Yeah, no, I love that. I totally get it because yeah, I totally get it. All right, Diego, where can people find out more about you, man? If they want to learn about, your mastermind, your whatever. Like, I know you got a million places.
Yeah. So Instagram is the easiest. You can follow me at Real Diego Corzo, at Real Diego Corzo. Or you can also go to my website for thefiinvestors.com, VFI
Mm.
investors. And it's cool that this like your team and everything, Craig, is called like the FI team and everything. So not that I copied you, but the FI investors. And yeah, so we can go there.
No, man, there's a lot of people using that FI play. I mean, this is called Investify. It's basically like FI investors backwards. So, yeah, maybe, yeah, maybe it was intentional that we had you on the show here.
There you go. So invest to FI to become a financial independent investor. That's awesome.
Boom shakalaka. I love it, man. Well, hey, bro, I wanted to say, man, thank you so much for coming on, dude. I love talking to you. You're such a genuine person, man. And like, I've literally never heard a single soul say anything negative about you. Like, only extremely positive things. So, um, dude, just want to say, love you, man. And thanks so much for coming on. And we will, be in touch very shortly.
I appreciate it and I look forward to hanging out soon. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Diego.
And that was Diego Corzo. What do you think about Diego, Allie?
I love his story and I love it more every single time I hear it. I first heard Diego's story on Bigger Pockets and then I met him at a conference and have, continue to see him at conferences. So I'm excited to see both of you again at Bigger Pockets. But what a good story from like not being able to even get a loan to then buying his dream condo, the whole progression. That's amazing.
I just think that's like, he clearly differentiated from the American dream, or deviated, I should say, from the American dream. But how about hitting up the real estate dream, and like the dream that everyone probably listening to this show is wanting to do? And it didn't take him 40 years, by the way. It took him 10, right? And I
Yeah.
just think it's incredible that he went from literally, and he still can't even leave the country, which is funny that I mean, obviously it's not funny. Like, I wish he could leave the country and travel and experience the world, because that's something I think everybody should do. But
Yeah.
it's like that little speck of dust on his birth certificate or whatever. Like, it's a little thing that keeps reminding him where he's from, right? Is that it's this thing that's hindering him where he can't travel outside of U.S. territory because he may not be able to come back. But he's able to do that with that restriction and achieve financial independence, buy his dream condo, partner with a bunch of people, surround himself with a ton of high net worth people. David Osborne is like one of the top people at Keller Williams. And honestly, I know he just has tons of money. I don't even know what, like, I know it's from real estate, but I don't even know like exactly what he did. But like,
Mhm.
it's just incredible that he's surrounded himself with those people. And yeah, I think like what his story is repeatable, and it would almost be easier for any of us because we don't have the restriction of not being able to get loans or having it being very hard to get loans. So just love Diego.
Me too. Me too. This is a great one.
Yeah. Awesome, guys. Well, if you liked listening to the show, please leave us a rating and review. Hit up Allie and I. I'm the FI guy on Instagram. Allie is Allie the agent. And we will see you guys all next week.
That's it for this episode of Investify. We hope that these nuggets of real estate wisdom lead to more savvy financial planning and a clearer path towards financial freedom. For more content like this, subscribe to the show at investify.com. Don't forget to leave a rating and share it with your friends. Together, we can transform more real estate newbies into successful and clever investors. Thank you so much for listening. See you on the next one.